crafty friends, it's Diane the Creative Inkster. Today is Tuesday, April 19th, 2022, and today I'm going to show you how to make this gift bag. So these are the bags I made for my adult children for their Easter goodies, and I've made these before many times. It's just been a little while, and I thought they were perfect. They hold quite a bit. So this box is 6 inches wide by 3 inches deep by 7 inches tall. So it is quite big in there. I could fit all their chocolate treats in there. You can always adjust the measurements to make it a little taller, a little narrower, whatever you need for your needs. I'm going to show you how we put something in the bottom to give it a little more stability, because this is, after all, designer series paper. The Stampin' Up! Designer series paper is nice and thick, and the thicker the better. Sometimes we do a paper that is a bit on the thinner side, and so you want to kind of stick with the thicker stuff that we have. So this one I made with some retiring paper because it's for the fam, so that's totally fine. The one I'm going to show you tonight is going to be made with the Sweet as a Peach paper. So if you're out there watching, please let me know that you're watching. Give me a comment or a shout out. And if you're watching the replay, drop a comment in. Always love to know who's out there listening. I'm going to put our measurements over here on the right. You wanted to play butt, shred, recycle, sort. Oh, okay, not a problem. You'll be able to do this really easily. It's pretty straightforward. So you need 2 pieces of designer series paper. So I've got that, 12 by 12s. You can make this with a smaller piece. You just need to adjust your measurements. We need 1 piece of cardstock. It absolutely does not matter what the color is. Use up what you've got. Find a scrap in your scrap bin. And it measures 3 inches by 6 inches. In fact, I sometimes make it just a wee bit smaller, like 1/8 of an inch smaller on both sides, so that it fits where it needs to go. It's going to go in the bottom between the two. The reason it doesn't matter is because it's going to go in between the 2 papers, and you're not even going to see it. We're going to do a bit of scoring. So let's do that. Got my paper trimmer. Usually I like to use my Simply Scored, but I know a lot of people have the paper trimmer, so I'm going to pull that out and use this instead tonight. So I'm going to extend the arm out here, and here is my 12 by 12 piece number 1. We're going to score them both exactly the same, and they're going to nest one inside the other. So we're going to score on 3 sides at 3 inches. If your paper's directional, like this side is not, so it wouldn't matter. But on the side that's directional, you want to score the 2-inch side, which is one side, at the top of your paper. And so that is my area up here. So this area will be 2 inches. So I'm going to slide this into the paper trimmer like that. This is the top of my paper for the directional, and I'm going to line it up at 2 inches down my trimmer, and with my scoring blade, which is the light gray one, I'm just going to go down twice to score along there. So that's important only if your paper is directional, that you do the 2-inch at that top piece. The other 3 sides, the left, the bottom, and the right, are going to be done at 3 inches. So similarly, I'll stick it in the paper trimmer, line it up at 3 inches, and I'm just going to move around in a clock-like fashion and do it at 3 inches. And if by chance you score one edge at 2 instead of 3, don't panic. You can, in the way that you use it, can then hide that seam. So that happened to me on one of the ones I did on the weekend. I just got carried away. All right, so to recap, this is the top of my 12 by 12. Hi, Debbie. That is scored down at the 2-inch mark across. The other 3 sides, the left, the bottom, and the right, are done at 3 inches. So I'm going to do the same on my second piece. You want matching? It really doesn't matter. Your box could have one pattern on one side and one pattern on the other, and especially if you have some that really coordinate nicely together. but I like to do them the same if I have them. So now I'm doing the left side at 3 inches. Now I'm going to do the bottom at 3 inches. And then the right at 3 inches. I find it easier on the Simply Scored because I don't have to move the paper around and remember what orientation I'm working on. All right, that's it for our scoring. We'll tuck that out of the way. Let's do our top first. The top is going to fold down, and that's what makes this pretty pattern to fold over. This is the 2-inch piece at the top of this paper. So you want to have paper that coordinates nicely back and front. Not a problem if you don't. You could always put a layer on there if you wanted. But I'm going to start by folding this back and using my bone folder. I'm going to go ahead and crease that along there. Oops. It does get a bit bulky in spots, and I'm going to add a little glue. So there's the 2-inch side folded down. Going to do the same on the other one. 2-inch side folded back. I can just barely see that spot where I scored it. This paper is nice and thick. It'll make a nice bag. I don't know why I came off the crease a little bit there. That's okay if that happens. Just going to reline it up. It's a bit forgiving. All right, so there's my 2-inch side. That does look a little off. What did I do? Maybe I slid it over a bit. Okay, well, we're going to work with it anyway. Okay, so there's our 2-inch side down and our 2 other sides. On one of these, you're going to cut the squares off at the bottom. The square measures 3 by 3. So you'll be able to see that. Maybe if I flip it over, you can see the score line a little better. So we're going to cut these squares off in the bottom. You could use your paper trimmer. I'm just going to grab my paper snips because I have them handy, and it's easier for me to do that. So this is on one of them that we're going to cut the squares off. Now I'll tell you what I did with the squares. One of the gifts for the kids was these mini eggs. I had a big huge bag of them, and I rebagged them in plastic because it's family after all. I put them in a little plastic cello bag, and then I used this over top to create a little topper for that cello bag, and of course it coordinated nicely. So nothing goes to waste, right? And so these bags work well with any patterns that you have. It can be directional, it can be non-directional, it can be big patterns like big flowers, or in this case the peaches, or it can be smaller patterns like the dots. All right, so here we go. We had a 12 by 12. We folded the 2-inch scored area down, and the bottom 2 3 by 3 squares we cut off. On the second one, we're not going to cut them off, we're going to cut in. So from the edges, if this is the top folded down, we're going to cut in from the edges, not down, but in from the edges. That's important, an important distinction, just for how the bag comes together. And every time I do it, I think, am I doing it right? That's what happens when you're doing this stuff. Okay, so there's our little flaps. Now we're going to fold it up a bit like a bag. So we're going to fold this over. It's going to be a little tighter because we have this 2-inch piece over top. And we're going to fold these edges over and use our bone folder. Important to have a nice crisp edge. And then same on the other side. And we're going to glue down this 2-inch piece at the edge, at the end when we're done. I don't glue the whole thing down as I'm going because I need it to give a little bit. It can't be too tight. But you'll see that these start to flip up. And so I just glue them down with a spot of liquid glue. Let's move this out of the way, shall we? Alrighty, so there's our little box. Oh, our bag, we got to do the bottom edge up too. Alright, so you see it starting to come together. This is going to be half of it, the left half. And then on the right one, where we cut the squares off, we're going to fold that bottom flap up. Now, I originally saw this done many years ago because I went back to the original video on YouTube, and I think it was from 2013 by Jackie Bolhuis, who I think she says in the video it's her very first video, and on YouTube anyway. And she lives in Michigan, and I have met her before. I've gone to a convention that she put on years and years and years ago. And anyhow, I thought it was great fun to revisit that. So that's who taught me how to do this. All right, so here we go. We have one with just a flap and one with, or sorry, I should say one with two side flaps and one with no side flaps. And see, they're going to go together, and that's going to make our bag. So we need to add some stability between the two. So on the one that has no flaps, fold it up, and we're going to glue this piece on the right side of it, or the good side of it. Now I'm going to trim this down a bit. I mentioned at the top of the video that it's 3 by 6, but I like it to be just a little bit smaller. Not going to make any difference to the stability of the bag, but it will keep it from being a little too bulky. Well, I must have cut this piece down a little bit already, but the 3-inch side seemed a bit wide. So on the good side, we're going to glue this in. You see how it's just a little bit of a border around it? So just grab the liquid glue. Oh, I had a brand new one on the go, and you know when you have your liquid glue, I don't know if you're like me, and like you want to use it up, so you have like 3 on the go, and you're shaking them down and fixing them up and poking the end to get the glue started, and then finally you decide to give in and buy and open or buy a new liquid glue. Yeah, that's where I was today. Okay, so see, this is on the bottom part, and you don't want it too close to the edge because you don't want to see it. All right, so then this being your right side, your right hand side, and your piece of cardstock in there, we're now going to glue it into the other one, into the other 3 by 6 panel right here. Just like that, and then we're going to fold it up. So we're going to add glue to it here, and you'll see it's going to hide this piece entirely because there's a fold here. You're not even going to see it, but it's going to add a little bit of stability to this bag. Let's make it a little bit nicer for holding. I wouldn't put a bottle of wine in here or anything, but I have put some of those hand soaps or hand pumped hand cream, that kind of thing, from Bed Bath & Beyond in this before, and that's worked. All right, so you see how it's coming together? We've got 2 sides and we've got flaps. So we want to stick the flap in between the 2 folds. So I kind of audition it by going and seeing, well, if I go and wrap it this way, does it meet up nicely on the left at the top? Or am I better to go like this and see? I don't know why it is, but one way tends to work better than the other. Not sure why that is, so can't explain it. So this flap is going to go up and into the one on my left. So glue here. You could use tear and tape. You could use Stampin' Seal Plus. I'm a liquid glue kind of gal. I like my tear and tape too. And we're just going to carefully press this up. I did not miter the edges in any way, but if you find that your trimming wasn't too neat, you can always trim off a little bit of extra here and there. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Take this little flap here, add some glue, line up the edge of the bag, and slide that guy up. And then that gets that part done. And then all we have left to do for the bag itself is to wrap this piece up. And in the same way, we're going to add glue to those panels, and they're going to go and wrap around. And there you have it. So just like this. Or as my dad would say, just like downtown. I have no idea where that comes from. Okay, so push this right up. You want to stick your hand in there to make sure that your inside piece is lined up with the crease. And oh, see, and it's not nicely lined up because I let it slip. There we go. Glad that happened so I could show you not to do that. There we go. It can happen. It can happen. Really. So I stick my hand in there. It's wide enough that I can get my hand in there. You could use a bone folder as well. And then the last piece flips over here. So let's add some liquid glue to this guy. Come on. There we go. What I like about liquid glue is it's forgiving and allows you to wiggle things into place. Hi, Glenda. Yeah, this is a fun one, isn't it? It's so versatile and you can put so much into it. And easy. Diane Hutchinson was telling me that she makes little bags and envelopes out of her DSP, her retired DSP for customers' orders and things like that. And I was thinking something like this, but certainly it could be more like an envelope idea, but that's what got me thinking about doing this again. So you've got it like this, and like I mentioned at the beginning, this piece is going to want to open up no matter what you do. So I put a little liquid glue on the edge there, kind of squeeze it into place, and I do the same on this side. Not necessary, but I think it just finishes it off nicely. So once you've got your bag together, you can pinch it and close it. You could close it this way, move my fingers out the way, in the center with a binder clip. That would work. You could seal it in lots of different ways. You could add paper handles onto it. What I did for the kids' bags was I put some ribbon through there because I had lots of retiring ribbon. Imagine. So to do that, I made a little template because I wanted it to always, I wanted the holes to line up in the same place. So to create a little template, I just made this 2 inches deep by 6 inches wide, so it fits as if it's right across there. And you see I used it a number of times. I'm using this retired 1/4 of an inch punch, I'm thinking. And you could use a paper piercer if you wanted. This works really, really well. So I just measured first where I wanted the holes, put a little X or a dot, and then I just use this to go through. And I just kind of help them line up in the same place. And then flip it over, and it adds a small circle. I love these little handheld punches. We don't carry them anymore, but you could so easily get one from the supply store, the stationery supply store near you, or even the dollar store possibly, and hang on to it. All right, so I have 4 holes. I have 2 pieces of ribbon somewhere. There we go. And you need some, it doesn't look like a very big hole, but you need a fairly thick ribbon to have the knot land on the other end. So if it's too thick to stick through, you can take your paper snips and just cut it on an angle, and then that gets it through. This one, I think I can just roll it around itself and poke it through, and do the same on the other side. I could really tidy it up really nicely, but I was in a hurry last Thursday night before Good Friday to get all my bags done for the kids. And so yeah, no, that didn't happen for me. So now I just kind of pull it through a little bit further and then tie an overhand or an 8 knot, whatever you need to give you enough of a knot there that it won't pull through. And I had all kinds, and as I'm sure you do in your stash as well. So pick something that matches and you're good to go. Do the same on the other side. I don't know, it's kind of whimsical this way, rather than tidying it up and hiding the knots and all that business. That just seems like a lot of extra work. All right, we'll get our knots here, and then if you need to trim, you can always trim that off. I made a little tag to go with it, which was just one of those tailor-made tags that we have, a die, and then stamped a nice Happy Easter greeting onto it and hung it off the handle. Do I have it on this one? I don't. Hung it off the handle with some twine. There you have it. Excuse me. Retiring women? No way. Nobody has that. Exactly. Yeah. I try to use it up. I have the most in color cardstock left over this year at this time than I have ever had. I started January using up my in colors because it's just, I just have too much of it. But anyhow, and I don't use it personally too much. So, all right, there you go. Enough chit chat. There's a cute little bag that you can make up, and let me know how it goes and what paper you use. I'd love to know that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, maybe friends, thank you for watching. I'll wish you a lovely week. I'll be back on Monday for an escape room again, and we'll see what we're going to do then. Take good care now. Bye.